Welcome back. Another week's analysis behind the news. Well, it seems as though Romney has named his candidate for Vice President of the United States. Ryan comes in, according to our evaluation, kind of in the middle. He's neither hot nor cold on many things. He has in the past endorsed and promoted, pleaded for TARP. So that is not his image today. His image today is one of trying to fix the budget. And as far as it goes, and it does go a certain way, it is helpful, but it is by no means an aggressive plan to really solve the problem. So that's pretty much where we figured that Romney would come down with a candidate, someone who could have mass appeal and help him in his candidacy. The interesting thing about it this morning is that there's really no opposition in the media, the establishment media like the Wall Street Journal and others, against Ryan. You would think that if they didn't like the fellow, they would start attacking him right away. But they're not, which shows that they're very happy with the choice, the establishment, Wall Street and all the rest of them. One thing that appeared in our local newspaper, but did not appear as far as I could tell, I don't read them all the time, is about a dinner that Obama hosted this last Friday in honor of the Muslim holiday Ramadan. I find that interesting, if you will. There's not very many presidents of the United States that have had a dinner in honor of a Muslim holiday. Of course, there are rumors that abound. Remains to be seen. We probably won't know the truth of that one until he's out of the White House. But at any rate, one of the things that's pointed out in this article is that he gives praise to an individual that Michelle Bachmann, the representative from Minnesota, has alleged has got ties to the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood. And he comes back and says, oh no, this aide to Rodham Hillary Clinton is really an exemplary type of individual. He's the kind of American that we want, even though he's a Muslim and apparently, according to Bachmann, has these ties to Egypt. So you can well imagine that our policy in Egypt has probably been influenced by this individual who is, as I said, an aide to Hillary. The interesting thing about Egypt right now is it's going more and more Muslim in its militancy. Of course, it's always been a Muslim nation. It's had Jews and Christians who've lived there for centuries, but the recent upheavals in Egypt are due to this militancy from, I don't know what you call it, not right or left, but certainly from the more militant Muslim Brotherhood. And now the Egyptian leader has fired the military chiefs who supposedly were still in place to kind of put a check on this Egyptian government from becoming too militant and joining in with a lot of these other countries like Iran and others who profess to be very militant in their Islamic beliefs. Not just their beliefs, but their actions. Now, the interesting thing about it is that on one side of Israel you have Egypt, on the other side of Israel you have Syria, and then its ally Iran. And the interesting part of that is that on one side of Israel we have one policy, and the other side of Israel we have another. On the northern side of Israel, we want the militant leaders gone. The militant Muslim leaders are going to be out if our State Department has anything to say about it. And yet in Egypt, they're doing everything they can to make sure that it goes in and stays in. And so we had Council on Foreign Relations individuals who were in Egypt through government-funded agencies promoting this Egyptian revolution to bring about this Muslim Brotherhood into power. And so on the north, we're anti-militant. On the south, we're pro-militant. Something is going on here. If I was in Israel, I'd be a little bit nervous. Now, the thing is that the plan has been for years, and we brought it out before, that they want a completely militant Muslim country all the way across North Africa into the Arabian nations in Arabia, Iraq, the non-Arabian but Muslim nations of Iran, and further on to the east. This appears to be what's going on, but at the same time, it appears as though they're trying to start trouble. Our State Department, I mean. By their actions, that's what they seem to be doing. They wouldn't be that hypocritical if they weren't trying to do something that's not going to bode well for our own armed forces and stability in the region. In the north, anti-militant. In the south, pro-militant. Go figure. One of the things that we see in the New York Times magazine section is this cover which says, "What's wrong with a boy who wears a dress?" And it's about a group of families who have a camp where the boys dress up like girls, and even their father, for instance, in this photograph here, showing him helping his son into his dress, getting ready for a fashion show of all these boys who just love to cross-dress in this camp. This article goes on to say that it's okay to do these things, that it's the sort of the new normal, if you will. We've got to cater to these boys who want to wear dresses and play with dolls and that kind of thing, and have a camp for them. They don't talk about the dangers of boys wearing dresses around grown men who may just be, a little bit funny. It makes them victims of predators and that sort of thing. And I don't know. I think there's a lot more behind this than simply trying to say that it's normal for boys wanting to wear dresses, which it's not normal. I never wanted to wear a dress. I liked girls in dresses, but I didn't want to wear one myself. And the thing is that it's almost 20% of this magazine space is devoted to this. Now, I've said before that the New York Times appears to have an agenda. This kind of confirms it for me. Don't forget that the New York Times is the one that sold the American people on the idea that Castro was not a communist, that he was the Abraham Lincoln of the Sierra Maestra Mountains in Cuba, and that we should support him, and he was getting rid of a corrupt regime. Well, that part was correct. They didn't reveal to you that he was a communist. And they've had a history of promoting things to the American people that are very detrimental to the American people. This, to me, is a case in point. And so I just think that instead of the fathers dressing up their boys, they should be dressing them down. Until next week, we'll see you then.